Hello and welcome to the Teach Music 21C podcast series. I'm Merlin Thompson, the creator and founder of Teach Music 21C, a community of music teachers united by our commitment to empowering music students as lifelong music makers, not necessarily professional musicians, but recreational amateurs who make music for the value it brings to their lives. And I'm joined today by Lorrie Merrell.
Hi.
Morning, Lorrie. Lorrie's a member of our executive team here at Teach Music 21C, and we're going to take a look at this notion of teaching real life students. It's a major component in the Teach Music 21C certification. This idea that real life students encompass a whole diversity of characteristics. Some students learn quickly, some students learn slowly. I like this one. Some students actually like getting instructions from teachers, and some students really prefer a whole independence line of where they're going to be going. Lorrie, what are your thoughts on this whole idea of real life students?
Well, it's very diverse, and I think that after years and years of teaching, it takes a long time to learn how to meet students where they are. Just not only to take them on a 10-year journey, but to meet them where they are right there that day at that lesson, because they're living, breathing people, and they change every week. They can walk into the studio happy, sad, mad, glad, So there's the mood part of it that you want to match, and then the other part is how they learn. And like a lot of them, they don't want a lot of instruction. Some of them do, some of them don't. But figuring that out and working together is quite a skill of teaching, I think, and it's something I'm always working on and trying to be better at. But the students need to know that you're on their side, and that you are willing to meet them, and that you are willing to help them in any way that they need it. And I think a big part of that is asking questions.
Yeah.
We always start out a lesson, how are you? What did you do this week? How was your week? I ask them about their life for a few minutes, just so that they know I'm interested and that I care. And then ask questions about the practice and the music, and then kind of take it from there.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting to see how different students are. But I also like to remind people that as human beings, we have an innate ability to get to know other people. So it's not like, oh, this person is one of the people who likes to be independent, or person is the person that likes to be dependent. What am I going to do? Am I going to be able to, transfer between those two characteristics? And I find that as human beings, we're highly adaptable. I always think, when you go to a party or something like that, we all have the ability to meet diverse people at a party. And as students, because we're seeing them week after week, of course, we have the ability to get them to know them as there as well.
Yes, I kind of think of it as a teacher kind of has to be a chameleon. They have to be able to change and switch and understand and intuitively understand this person and their life, and be able to work with that at the lesson week by week.
Yeah, and Lorrie, I'll just speak to that chameleon ability because there is I think, a myth out there that teachers are supposed to have all these abilities ready to go. We're supposed to be able to adapt to all these different situations. And really, it is a learning opportunity for each one of us. And to have that ability to say, oh, working with that particular student on this particular day didn't go according to plan, didn't work out. Am I going to do exactly the same thing next week? Well, if I do, I can probably anticipate the same results. So it's really about reflecting on how did things go, and being willing to come up with plan B, plan C, and plan D in order to help that student the next time you see them.
Yes. And sometimes it doesn't match up. Sometimes I felt like, oh, that just didn't go well.
Right.
And the student doesn't have that same feeling. Like, you find out later on that they left happy, and what was wrong with that? So sometimes what I'm feeling, they're not feeling, and it's a good communication to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because sometimes we can, what can we do? We can over reflect on what we did. Okay, so reflection is good, and then there's the reflection that turns into a burden on our own part. So knowing that students are malleable, knowing that students, we have an opportunity to rectify or to change what we did next week. The ongoing journey with students, I think, is really interesting to watch. And I want to come back to that whole chameleon thing. Yeah, we do change, but I want to stress that we learn how to change.
Yes. I remember so well years ago, Dr. Suzuki saying, get and be on the child's level. And that's always been in my mind, to try to match them at their level. Meaning, like if they're small, I'll get down so that I can have eye contact with them. If they're a teenager and they come in with excitement, I try to match that. So yeah, matching them and doing that day what they need and trying to give it to them. Reflection is so important. I'm so glad you mentioned that word, because that's, I think, really the key when you think about those lessons, and what you can do the next week, especially with a newer student. I've started a couple of new students lately, and it takes a while to get to know their personality. So I've learned to just relax and not worry so much about the music, but maybe building a little bit of a relationship with them and a trust with them. And so that they like me, that we feel like we're partners working on the music together, and how much fun that can be for us. And then reflecting about how that went with the child. And like you say, there's always the next week.
True enough. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. We're on a journey. It's not just we have one opportunity, and if we don't make it work, that's it. We're done. We have this ongoing journey. We're going to see people week after week, again and again. And that's an opportunity to really see how we can become more tuned into what they need from us. But I also think, and you mentioned at the outset, asking questions. And and also turning the asking questions over to students. So it's a matter of, what questions do you want to ask me? What things do you need help with? So that line of interaction where the students are the leaders, that's typically not part of what our history of music teaching was all about. Our history was saying, no, the teacher takes charge and everybody gets into the same box, whether they like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important to remember, to let them ask the questions too. A few students, once in a while, I'll say, how was your week? And they'll answer, and then they'll say, how was yours? And I'm always surprised, because they don't usually do that. And I'm like, well, thank you for asking, But then, of course, what can I help you with this week? And what were your challenges, and what went well, and what we practiced, and what you did last week. Did you get results, or did you find another way to get better results? And share that with me, so that on this journey we can find what works well for you and how you get the results. Yeah. I'm always willing to tell them, this is what I would do. Try this. If you find other ways, do it. And please let me know, share it with me.
So, it might be interesting to wrap things up here, to just go through off the top of our minds, what are the various characteristics that we might encounter in real life students? And I'm going to just throw out a couple of them. So they might be older, they might be younger, some of them might be quick learners, some of them might be slow learners. Can I pass it to you, and then we'll pass it back to me for a couple more?
Okay.
A couple more characteristics of real life students.
Okay, real life students that have had problems, at home with family relationships or things like that they bring to the lesson, that fast and slow. The slow learners, I've learned to relax and just enjoy the journey with. Different music for different kids and what they love. The group classes and what they like to do, and how they interact with each other.
And some students are leaders and some students are followers.
Yes.
Some students really prefer not to be the one that's leading the way all the time, which means we have to find ways for them to kind of take that on in an easy way. I appreciate what you're mentioning about home life, because some students have lots of time to practice. Some students don't have very much time to practice at all. And those things are outside of their area of control. So, yeah, so we've got independent students, we've got dependent students, we've got students with lots of time, students with not much time. We've got students who like to take instruction, students who don't like to take instructions. Are there any more that we can add to our list?
I don't know. All of that makes my head spin because it's a lot to work with. But I appreciate you bringing up the students that don't have a lot of time to practice.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them coming every week embarrassed, ashamed, and feeling like they're, not prepared. So that could be another whole, podcast. But yeah, for sure, to recognize that and to and to work with that, with what they have.
Yeah, it reminds me of a line from my book, More Than Music Lessons. And the line is, every person appreciates being valued for who they are and what they do. And that's, the students appreciate being valued for who they are and what they do. Teachers appreciate being valued for who they are and what they do. So yeah, it all just comes right together. Lorrie, this has been great to talk to you again today. Our topic has been real life students. I'm Merlin Thompson. I've been here with Lorrie Merrell. This is the Teach Music 21C podcast series. Lorrie, thanks so much for joining in.
Thank you so much. Always wonderful to visit with you.
And for everybody who's been joining in, thank you so much as well. And we'll hope to see you next time around. Bye for now.